He followed the guards and searched for him, and when they found him by the river, sitting beside Aquila, eating a roasted fish, the king was furious. "You have disobeyed me," the king roared. "You will bring ruin upon yourself." Ola stood, shielding Aquila. "She is no monster," he said. "She is just a woman." The king's eyes burned with anger. "You will never see her again," he declared. "She must leave the river. Leave this village." Aquila felt her heart crack. "Where will I go?" she whispered. Ola clenched his fist. "No," he said. "She stays." But the king was unmoved. The river rumbled. The next morning, Aquila was gone. Prince Ola had never been the same since Aquila's disappearance. His once bright eyes had dulled. His laughter had vanished, and he barely touched his meals. The palace halls, once alive with his presence, grew silent. The queen watched him with deep worry, pleading with him to eat, to speak, to live, but Ola only shook his head, gazing out the window toward the river. "If she is gone, I have no reason to live," he whispered one evening, his voice barely audible. The queen gasped, clutching her chest. The king's face hardened with fear. They had never seen their son like this. He was their only child, the heir to the throne. They couldn't lose him, and so, without hesitation, the king summoned his guards. "Find Aquila," he ordered. "Search the forest, the riverbanks, wherever she may be. Bring her back alive." For 5 days, the search party combed the land. They waded through thick bushes, crossed small streams, and ventured deep into the forest where no villagers dared to go. The days were hot, their bodies weary. The nights were cold, their hope dwindling. Then, on the 5th day, they found her. Aquila lay curled beneath an old tree, her skin pale, her body frail from hunger and thirst. Her clothes clung to her like thin rags, and her lips were cracked from dryness. One of the guards rushed forward, pouring water into her mouth. Aquila coughed, swallowing greedily. "We found her," one of them shouted. Carefully, they lifted her, carrying her through the thick undergrowth back to the village. As soon as they entered the palace gates, Prince Ola spotted them. His heart leapt, and before the guards could lower Aquila to the ground, he ran forward, pulling her into his arms. "I missed you so much, my love," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. Aquila tried to speak, but she was too weak. She rested against him, letting his warmth surround her. The palace maids hurried to tend to her, feeding her nourishing soups, bathing her in scented water, dressing her in fine silks that shimmered like the river at dawn. Days passed, and Aquila slowly regained her strength. When Ola saw her standing again, her skin glowing with health, he smiled and held her close. "My love, you look astonishing," he said. Aquila met his gaze, gratitude filling her heart. "Thank you," she murmured. But while the prince basked in happiness, the king watched with hidden fury. He had saved his son, but at what cost? One cold evening, the king summoned Mama Yokota, the feared native doctor of the village. Her presence alone sent shivers through the palace walls. Draped in dark cloth, she entered the king's chambers with a knowing smile. "You wish to control your son?" she asked, her voice like the hiss of wind through dry leaves. The king nodded sharply. "He is blind with love. He cannot think, cannot lead. Give me something to make him forget her." Mama Yokota's lips curled wickedly as she reached into her leather pouch. From within, she pulled a small gourd filled with a dark, thick liquid. "Place this in his drink," she instructed. "Once he swallows, he will obey your every command. His love will fade like mist in the morning sun." The king took the gourd, gripping it tightly. His face remained unreadable, but inside, his heart pounded with uncertainty. The next evening, the king prepared Ola's drink himself. He poured the dark liquid into his son's palm wine, watching it swirl like shadows. He summoned Ola to the royal table, smiling stiffly as the prince sat. "Drink," the king said. "You must celebrate your happiness and health, my son." Ola lifted the cup, unaware of his father's deception, but as the rim touched his lips, a sudden gust of wind blew through the palace. The flames in the lanterns flickered wildly. Something terrible was about to happen, and neither the prince nor Aquila knew that they were being bound by a fate darker than they had ever imagined. Prince Ola took a sip of his wine, unaware that it had been mixed with a dark charm. At first, he felt nothing strange. But when Akila returned from her evening walk by the river, something inside him changed. He looked at her with disgust. Her skin, once beautiful to him, now seemed rough and ugly, like fish scales. His love for her, strong just moments ago, faded in an instant. Akila was shocked. "What is wrong?" she asked, stepping closer. Ola pulled away, frowning. "You look terrible," he said coldly. "I don't know how I ever loved you." Akila's heart shattered. She tried to hold his hand, to remind him of their love, but he pushed her away. A few days later, Prince Ola made a shocking announcement. He sent the town crier to declare that he was searching for a wife. The village was filled with excitement. A grand dance competition was arranged, where the most beautiful maidens gathered to impress the prince. They dressed in colorful cloth, adorned themselves with beads, and danced with elegance and grace. The prince watched with a smile. Akila, desperate, pleaded with the king and queen. "Something is wrong with him," she cried. "Please, stop this," but they ignored her. The king grew impatient with her begging. "You will not disturb this ceremony," he shouted. "Guards, take her away." The guards grabbed Akila and dragged her to the local prison, a small, filthy room that smelled of damp earth and stale air. She was locked inside, her cries unheard, and outside, the dance continued. At the end of the competition, Prince Ola picked his bride, a young woman named Maleki. She was beautiful. But there was more to her than her looks. She was the daughter of Mama Yokota, the evil native doctor. The king's face darkened when he heard the name. He knew Mama Yokota had tricked him. She had not only given him the dark potion, she had also used her own magic to manipulate the prince into choosing her daughter. That night, furious and restless, the king summoned Mama Yokota.